Buonasera, my name is Lilo Boneri. As probably you know, I am the director of Italian Culture Institute here in Sydney and cultural attaché of the Consulate General of Italy. The Italian Culture Institute is the cultural office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and its mission is to promote our language and courses through organization of courses and cultural events. Before we proceed to tonight's topics, I would like to remind everyone that you are a COVID-safe venue, and we kindly request you to respect and maintain the 1.5 meter distance between people at all times. Dove eravamo rimasti? It's a famous statement in Italy, where we were. I'm sure that we have missed a lot our events at the Institute, but anyway, here again. Yes, indeed, it is a huge pleasure to be able today to welcome you all in person for the first time since the beginning of the COVID pandemic in March 2020. During these times, we have renovated the Institute and we update our sound system and video system, and we support the Made in Italy design with a fine selection of Italian-made pieces, some yet to arrive. In particular, we have created a permanent exhibition of 7 iconic lamps, designed by some of the most extraordinary and renewed Italian design, such as Castiglione Brothers, Ettore Sozzas, Tobias Scarpa, Gianfranco Frattini, etc. For example, you can see the beautiful Chimera lamp in that corner, designed by Vico Maggiestetti in 1969, which is considered to the best, most beautiful icons of modern design. Across the hall, on the Cassina table, you can see Atollo lamps, once again designed by Vico Maggiestetti in 1977, and winner of the Compasso d'Oro in 1979. Next to the piano, that one, the powerful statement piece, the Callimaco, designed by Ettore Sozzas in 1980. That give a strong presence to its industrial feel. Across the wall, you can also see the exhibition dedicated to the 15 finalists of the Lucca Project Contest 2020, which is a national competition open to aspiring comics books authors organized by Lucca Comics and Games. It was an exhibition organized by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the occasion of the Week of Italian Language in the World, whose in 2020 theme was dedicated to graffiti, illustration, and comics. And now, sustainability, ecosystem, biodiversity was the term now familiar at the Institute. In March, on the occasion of 26 COP, the World Climate Conference that will take place in Milan and in Glasgow in November, we organized an important event in Sydney at the Botanic Garden in collaboration with the Italian and UK embassies, speaking with journalists, influencers, biologists about climate change and screening the David Attenborough documentary, Extinction: The Facts. Tonight, we keep us going on this path. We will talk about a different model of tourism with an expert, Emanuele Attanasio, manager of the Italian National Tourist Board, Australia and New Zealand. Together, we are pleased to present an event dedicated to Italian walking routes. Not many people know that Italy features some of the most ancient trails in the world, like the Via Francigena, an ancient road from Canterbury to Rome, dating back to the 5th century. Like the Cammino di Santiago, it's a historical medieval route that pilgrims walked for centuries. Some parts of the route was forgotten over the centuries, but in recent years, we recover the Via Francigena. Italy did a great job in this. We cleared the trail, mapped the route for a new generation sustainable tourism. Tonight, our focus will be on a particular walking route called Il Cammino di Dante, Dante's Walk. We will connect with video conference with Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna touristic agency and with Il Cammino di Dante Association. Il Cammino di Dante begins at Dante's House Museum in Florence and finishes as Dante tomb in Ravenna. And it's run between the region of Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna. Along the ancient path walked by Romans and Etruscans, immersing itself in the wilderness of the Apennines Mountains through medieval cities, magical landscape, and peaceful convents. Before I give the floor to Emanuele Attanasio, I would like to give you a little background of his expertise. Emanuele is the National Tourism Board Manager for Australia and New Zealand. He was born in Milan, grew up in Tuscany, town of Lucca, as the exhibition, and he has been living in Australia for over 30 years. During his 17 years experience at the National Tourist Board, he's had the opportunity to promote Italy through the organization of several initiatives in Australia, New Zealand, and many prestigious international events. Thank you all for coming tonight, and let's welcome Emanuele Attanasio. Grazie.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to this special event. My name is Emanuele Attanasio, and I manage the National Tourist Board for Australia and New Zealand. It's a great pleasure to be able to collaborate with the Italian Institute of Culture on their first event of the year. Thank you to Director Lillo Guarneri and his team for organizing this event. Now, before I forget, someone actually asked me earlier where that photo is there, and it's Brisighella in the Emilia-Romagna region. Yeah. Okay, so 2021 marks the 700-year anniversary of Italian poet, writer, philosopher, and political thinker Dante Alighieri, also known as the father of the Italian language. He was born in Florence in 1265 and died in Ravenna in 1321. Dante is known all around the world for being the author of the famous Divina Commedia, or Divine Comedy. Now, unlike the many epic works that were released prior to this masterpiece, Dante's work was written in vernacular Italian, rather than the more appropriate languages of the time, which were Latin and Greek. The choice of language allowed his work to be published to a much wider audience and to much more educated readers, heavily contributing to this literacy on a global scale. This very important influence on many artists and readers has labeled Dante as one of the greatest writers to have ever lived. Now, the purpose of tonight's event is to talk to you about a journey that some of you may want to experience on your next trip to Italy, where you will be able to retrace some of Dante's steps on an authentic, safe journey through nature walks and hiking among villages and hamlets. Tonight, we will be hearing about two projects. The first project is called Le Vie di Dante, or Roads of Dante. And to take you on this amazing journey, we will be joined by the Tuscan Tourist Board and the Emilia-Romagna Tourist Board. The second project is called Il Cammino di Dante, and we'll be joined by Il Cammino di Dante Association. So where do these experiences take us exactly? Le Vie di Dante is a project that began with the idea of planning a holiday where you can experience history throughout the regions of Emilia-Romagna and Tuscany. Dante's journey from Florence to Ravenna, crossing the Apennines, features sustainable travel ideas to be enjoyed at a slow pace through the extraordinary typical features of these two regions, thanks to nature and cultural itineraries. Le Vie di Dante represents a vast historical area made accessible by a Can anyone hear me? Yes. Made accessible by a renewed synergy between Emilia-Romagna and Tuscany, with accommodation services that are able to satisfy the needs of those travelers who are no longer satisfied with just a simple visit, but are after a holiday that makes the most of all these typical features offered by this area. Now, to talk to us more in detail about Le Vie di Dante, I would like to now welcome Silvia Aglietti from the Tuscany Tourist Board, Roberto Moretti and Federica Cortezzi from the Emilia-Romagna Tourist Board. Federica actually also looks after the Asia-Pacific market of Emilia-Romagna, so she's actually a good point of reference for that as well. Welcome, the floor is yours. Good morning.
Thank you.
What time is it there?
Yeah, the 10:30. It is on the morning.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. How are you?
We're very good. We have a full house here. I'm not sure if you can see everybody, but they can see you.
Mhm.
And they're very keen to listen to what you have to say about Tuscany.
Okay, let's start with the presentation. Good evening to everybody. Let's present this project, Le Vie di Dante. Is best practice of a tourist trademark, accessible by renewed synergy between two friends regions, Emilia-Romagna and Tuscany. This project, born in 2017, and during this year, during the celebration of the death of the poet from 700 years from his death, we would like to present all the activities that we made. This project represents an itinerary between Tuscany and Romagna. It is a journey from Florence to Ravenna, and they are not only one itinerary, but a network of itineraries, at least 395 kilometers. The pillars of this project are two. Culture, because you can experience a unique travel, getting in touch not only with cities, but all the culture of small villages. So you can visit museums, libraries, villages, and Romanesque churches. The other pillar is nature, because you can make a sustainable travel, slow travel, immersed in the territory and in a real connection with the identity and all the territory of Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna, crossing the Apennines. Via di Dante has only a brand identity. We have this logo, and this represents the face of the poet in one of his best known depiction. And he would like, this logo wants to give a new image of the poet, of the great poet, a contemporary image. And also he wants to promote a project and a new kind of tourism, slow, contemporary, and during this pandemic, we have a new product, a new kind of tourism that all tourists and also from all over the world, but only for excursions, can experience a new model of making tourism. So, regarding sustainability, the Via di Dante has awarded by Lonely Planet. You know how Lonely Planet is important. And Best in Travel selected among 30 destinations, the Via di Dante as one of these 30 destinations, and it is the only Italian tourist destination presented in Lonely Planet within the sustainability category. Regarding mobility, during this year, during the celebration, the project created a new way to experience the route with a bike route of 2,025 kilometers. You can reach Florence from Ravenna, and on the other part, there is two parts. From Florence to Ravenna, the first part in Tuscany, at most 75 kilometers, and from Marradi to Ravenna, 152 kilometers that you can experience by bike. What about this project? There is a Google Trackers technology, so you can experience in advance and prepare your trip with the Street View technology. So a panoramic bike route between Florence and Ravenna, where you can get in touch in nature and make a slow experience. So, as I said before, uniqueness and culture, And as I said, there is a variety of itineraries. There is the one and the classic itinerary from Florence to Ravenna, passing through Florence, Scarperia, San Piero, Borgo San Lorenzo, Marradi, Brisighella, Faenza. So not only big cities, but small villages that you never know. You can get in touch with culture, tradition, and make many experiences. Arriving to Ravenna, the city of the death of the great poet. But there are also other roads. Itinerary in Gello. This is a small road between Tuscany and Romagna, when you can experience the history and also get in touch with the history of the Medici. The other itinerary is in Casentino, and this is known as the Valley of the Soul, where Dante make his exile, and after he write down the most famous verses of the Divine Comedy. The third one is in Emilia-Romagna, Faenza and Brisighella, two places of inestimable beauty. And Brisighella is immersed in a still intact natural setting, and Faenza, this is with historical remains of the various areas. After, so food and wine riches, treason and crafts. The Via di Dante has also many events. How can you get in touch with this project? We have a portal, viadidante.it, where tourists can find many information. And if you are a buyer or a media, you can get in touch with our suppliers. All the suppliers of both regions has to sign and submitted a disciplinary where they submit and they became partner of the project. Not only private operators, but also public operators. So all the subjects can be partner of this project, and respecting this criteria, he have quality and also an authentic connection with the territory. If you have a look to the website, viadidante.it, we have 4 sections. Facilities, where you can find 75 structures. Cities, when you can find all the short description of the territory, and offers and packages. This is a new section that we launched this year, because in the year of the celebration, you can experience and find packages and also make a reservation or a direct request on the portal. And finally, you find the events that all the public operator and subjects publish during the year, during this year of the celebration, but also after. So what about us? We have the website that I mentioned before, but you can be always updated with our social media, because the project and Via di Dante are also on Facebook and on Instagram. So on these channels, you will have all the information and you can get in touch with us. For further information, you can write to the editorial staff at info@viadidante.it. So thank you for your attention, and looking forward to meet you on the Via di Dante this year or wherever you want. Thank you.
Silvia, I'm not sure if you heard, but everyone was clapping. So I'm not sure if you heard that, but thank you very much. It makes me feel very, very nostalgic every time I see these slides. And now we're about to hear from the Emilia-Romagna region. So over to you, Roberto Moretti and Federica.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Roberto Moretti. Silvia Ietti from Toscana Tourist Board has just described our project. As she told, for us, it's a very pleasure to be here tonight, because we have this project born since 5 years ago, and so now we are presenting all the sites of Enid. And we appreciate your presence, and we hope you can visit our territories in Emilia-Romagna, and we expect to have a consensus from you, from the other nation that have shared with us the project from Via di Dante with Emilia-Romagna and Tuscany. So thanks to be here. I hope you enjoy and come to visit us next year or as soon as possible, obviously. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Federica Cortezzi. I work for the Emilia-Romagna Tourist Board, and I follow the Australian market. So anything you need, you can find my email later on, and you can write to me. I hope to see you soon here in Emilia-Romagna and showing all the excellence of this region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And hopefully, maybe in the future, instead of doing Zooms, you can come to Sydney and you can talk to everybody in person here. I'm sure I would love to hear from you face to face very soon, hopefully. Okay, so now we're going to listen to the second project that I mentioned earlier. It's called Il Cammino di Dante, or Dante's Walk, which is a not-for-profit organization that began, I believe, in 2012. It's an itinerary which has a loop of nearly 400 kilometers in 20 stages, retracing the route that Dante Alighieri is thought to have taken when he was exiled from Florence in the early 14th century. It runs between the regions of Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna, along the ancient paths walked by the Romans and Etruscans, in the wilderness of the Apennines, through medieval castles and magical landscapes. This adventure can be explored on foot, by mountain bike, or by train from Florence to Ravenna along the Faentina Railway. And it was all. And to talk to us in more detail about Il Cammino di Dante, I would now like to introduce to you Silvia Rossetti from Il Cammino di Dante Association. No? Oh, we're going to play a video first. Okay, so before we introduce Silvia Rossetti, we're going to show you her video, which I've seen before, and it's absolutely amazing. So let's have a look at the video first. bit because we can't travel just yet at the moment. Hopefully we won't have to wait for too much longer, but it's, yeah, it just makes us want to go to Italy at the moment. But I think everyone will agree that, you know, going forward, tourism is going to change a lot. And I think people will be after experiences that will be more, you know, within nature walks, sustainable tourism. I think that, you know, going forward, the way that we want to experience a holiday is going to change the way that, in comparison to the way that it was before. To talk to us in more detail about Il Cammino di Dante, I would like to introduce to you Silvia Rossetti from Il Cammino di Dante Association. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, ciao, hi. It is so nice to see you all. Well, at least technically I do see you, but yeah, to quote Emanuele earlier, we are looking forward to having you in Italy, but I'm definitely looking forward to visit Australia sometime. It was actually very nice and teasing for me too to see this video again, because it's been quite a long time since we shot it, and it kind of reminds me of, you know, those times where you could just grab a couple of friends and make a video for Cammino di Dante. And it was actually very nice because we tried to plan, as you've seen, a couple of stages, a couple of shots in some of our favorite places, specifically in the Emilia-Romagna part of the itinerary. And while we were walking, we had the president of our cultural association helping us with the transportation and the shots and everything. And he looked at us walking and we were kind of slow. So he told us, well, if you're going to make it like this, you're never going to make it to Florence on time. So, I mean, get yourselves together, you know, millennials. We take our time. Just to tell you that people walking on these kinds of routes are very interesting people, and they are truly strong and fast if they want to do the full route. But one thing I personally specifically like about this project is that it's not meant specifically for sportsmen and sportswomen who are kind of trained to do about 400 kilometers right away. There are actually very few people that make it to the full way, because it's quite hard. And, you know, it doesn't have to be like that. It can be customized to whatever a person needs and whatever he or she wants to see. And that is something that can be completely done on Cammino di Dante or on Via di Dante, whichever you choose, whichever you feel like doing. Emanuele already told you a little bit about us. Our story kind of dates back about 10 years from now. And it started as a kind of a dream and kind of a small project, a small idea that later became bigger and more interesting, and it's still growing to this day. Basically, everything started from a person, the founder of the association and the founder of the project in general. His name is Giordano Bezzi. He personally started to get involved with the theme. He started to get involved with Dante Alighieri. He started reading it. He started reading his biography and started getting interested in the actual places where he went, where he might have been, because it's all very, you know, hypothetical, unfortunately, because, you know, it's been 700 years since he died. So it's hard to have proper, reliable historical information, but we do have some clues. So what he did and what we did along the years was keeping these clues together and trying to found and trying to make a project, try to make a walk that could take everything and make everything connected and put everything together. This meant many things, because along the way, you will not only find cities and hamlets related to Dante from an historical point of view, from a biographical point of view. So places where he might have actually been when he was exiled from Florence, but also, maybe quotes from the Divine Comedy, because there are some places. One of them is the Acquacheta waterfalls, which you have seen in the video in San Benedetto in Alpe. Those are actually quoted in the Divine Comedy. So we don't have a specific clue, a specific historical clue that he has been there. But he does talk about it. So it kind of makes you think, well, if he talks about them, he probably knows them. Maybe he saw them, and maybe he was inspired by them in his writing and his poetry. So that what is specifically very fascinating, because it kind of feels like when you're walking this walk, it kind of feels like you can be him. You can see what he saw many centuries ago. So it is really a fully beautiful and immersive experience that I would advise to anyone that is interested in Italian culture and in Italy in general. Just a few technical, details, some things that you have seen in the video. When people want to go on our walk, they basically contact us, and we make them, there is a small fee for subscription to our cultural associations, because we are a non-profit organization. So we basically thrive from subscription fees and public funds. So whatever we can find to do whatever, to do what we like, and to keep on relying on our mission. So basically what people get according to the fee they choose are is some material that could be useful to them along the way. We have a map on paper, and in case that fails, or in case it's not that comfortable, we make a mobile app that you can see, and you can, with the GPS tracking, where you can always kind of check in on where you are, where you have to go, so that you don't get lost. Because some of these places are also, it's not like, well, they can be dangerous. I mean, if you're not careful, if you maybe go in the winter, if you maybe go when it's very cold and it's snowing and it's hard to reach for you. So safety is always a priority for us as well. So you always have a few tools that can make you go on your way, never minding of anything, and just being quiet and just being at ease with what you're doing. So the map and the mobile app are made for this purpose, basically. And also we give credentials are the little piece of paper you saw us giving to people in hotels or people in the tourist office. It's a small piece of paper where at every stage you have a stamp made. You have a stamp made on your credential, so that when you complete the route or complete a part of the route, you have actual proof that you can keep as a memory of all the stages you went through. So it kind of gives you really the idea of how hard you worked to get to where you are, to get to where you get. It is a very interesting path, because it kind of brings together many different landscapes, as you have seen, because we have rivers, we have waterfalls, we had level ground. You start, like if you start from Ravenna, you actually see, you start from level ground, and then you see some hills, and then you actually reach the mountains, or the Apennines, as we call them in Italy. So there is a little bit of everything, and you can see a little bit of everything, and it kind of brings together all those small little things that make Italy a very nice place to visit and to walk by. During our years of experience, one thing that we learned never to take for granted is the contribution of actual people on Dante's walk, because while getting everything ready to create this project, we actually met a lot of people along the way, you know, people with bed and breakfast and hotels, but also just people stopping by, farmers and whoever. And many of these people, like, they actually had anecdotes about Dante. They heard of legends about Dante. They were actually very much in touch with the history of their homeland. And that was beautiful, because I like to think that our Cammino di Dante brings a little bit of this together too. So it is very personal. It is very, very emotional at times. Of course, we have a few bullet points that we always keep in mind. Sustainability is very strong. I mean, it's not like, I'm not sure that's the right word, but it is kind of getting fashionable, luckily, because it was about time for it to be at the center of, you know, international debate. And it is going to be a new way of traveling. And it's also, you know, walking on Dante's Walk makes people educated to nature, because, like, you are fully immersed in the middle of nowhere, you know, for example, in the forest, and you hear pretty much nothing unless you are walking with someone. And that is something that actually makes you think about what we might lose and how much we should be careful. Because, you know, it's our planet, it's our home, so we have to take care of it. And actually walking makes you educated and has a very low impact on the environment, because, of course, you don't really take many public transportation. You don't usually take the car, like, you know, maybe you use some transportation to reach to wherever you want to start from, but then it's just walking. And walking is one of the cleanest activity you can do in the environment. So if you are careful, it is really a low impact activity to do. And also, we saw last summer, it was pretty safe for people to go during the pandemic too. I mean, of course, there were people close by, people, they usually didn't come from different countries, or, well, if they could, they came. But, you know, it's something that always, you know, you are never really too much among many people. So you just walk by yourself, and it's very safe if you know how to handle yourself. So it is really a different kind of tourism that I'm very excited to see where it's going to go, and how much it's going to grow. And I really hope that we cherish all these little things that make it a different kind of tourism and an interesting kind of tourism. Just one last thing, a few final things. The cultural aspect is very important for us, but, you know, we talk a lot about the technical issues and the landscapes, but everything started from Italian culture, from Italian literature. And we are very aware of the importance of Dante Alighieri here in Italy, especially during these years, because during this year specifically, because it's an important anniversary. But we saw always and again, talking to people, that Dante, in and out of Italy, really brings everyone together. Because, well, in Italy, for example, there is not one single person who doesn't know Dante, who doesn't remember some of the most famous lines, or some of the most famous verses from the Divine Comedy. So it really is a topic for everyone. And sometimes, you know, personally, I studied medieval literature at the University of Bologna, and sometimes you see academics kind of being uptight about this, like kind of resisting to Dante being for everyone. But I think that's part of this mission as well. That's part of our mission as well, because we do take care of the Cammino di Dante, but we also sometimes do events or initiatives, performances, lessons with experts that know how to talk to people who are not academic. So it has many layers, really, of interpretation, and each and every one of these layers are very important for us. And I hope it makes things even more interesting for you too. It is beautiful because, well, we try to make the experience immersive also by putting the actual text, the actual Divine Comedy on the way, along the way. How we did it, you probably saw a few frames in the video. We made specific signs that basically on these signs, you can read the Divine Comedy. We have 100 signs, one for each canto in the Divine Comedy, so for every little piece of the bigger poem. So while you walk, you actually go along with the plot, if we can call it like that, with the plot of the Divine Comedy. And the Divine Comedy is traveling. The Divine Comedy is walking along a way in the afterlife, but still it's very picturesque. So while you're walking, you're actually reading, you're actually learning a little bit more about Dante Alighieri and his work. You're actually learning a little bit more about yourself too, of course. So it really can be for everyone. And I really hope that you come sometime and enjoy it yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this very, very fascinating presentation. And we're on schedule, which is great because that means that we can actually take some questions from our audience. We really can't wait to go back to Italy. We had some Italian food here when people arrived, so we're very much in the moment, in the spirit of hopefully going back to Italy in the not too distant future. Does anybody have a question to ask? I have a question. I'm going to go first. When do you think, and this is for everyone, I think, but it's a very easy question. When do you think the best time of the year is to do this walk?
Okay, I'll start. I guess from a walking point of view, like even from a technical and organizational point of view, we see usually most of the people leave in spring or autumn. So, you know, in the kind of the middle seasons. But this is simply because, of course, if one can, you know, get vacancy, not vacancy, some time of some kind of holiday from work, because during the summer, especially when you're level ground, there is very little shadow. So, you know, in the warmest times of the day, that might be uncomfortable. And that's pretty much the same for winter. Like in the plain ground, in the level ground, you're going to be fine. But when you reach the mountains, there might be snow, there might be mud if it's raining. So that could be more difficult to just to enjoy. So I would advise a spring or autumn. Okay.
And another question for Silvia Aglietti or Roberta Moretti or Federica Cortezzi. Where's the best starting point? So Silvia Aglietti, you obviously represent Tuscany, and Roberta, you represent Emilia-Romagna. Is it best to start in Tuscany, or is it best to start in Emilia-Romagna, or does it make a difference?
Of what concerns us, I can suggest Marradi, because it's a little village between Emilia-Romagna and Toscana. So correctly speaking, you start in the middle and then you can go wherever you want, or Emilia-Romagna or Toscana. It depends what is your feeling, because Tuscany is very well known for Florence, but there are small cities, more localities that are more fascinating. And Emilia-Romagna is well known for the Adriatic coast, but I assure you that the other Emilia-Romagna, so the Emilia-Romagna of the Apennines villages, is very fascinating. So start in the middle point in Marradi, and then you can share your experience. Or Emilia-Romagna or Toscana, whatever you want, is a fascinating and amazing experience. Silvia, can you agree with me?
I agree with Roberto, because Marradi is located on the border of Emilia-Romagna and Tuscany. So the region are friends, and you can start your trip and your excursion from Marradi, going through Ravenna, or otherwise on the contrary to Florence. So I'm completely agree.
start in the middle and then head in
In the
any
middle.
direction you want to head to. Do we have any other questions? Yes.
Are you able to learn or take Dante's cultural brilliance at particular stops along the walk?
So I'm not sure if you heard that. So apart from the walk, is it possible to take in other cultural aspects of Dante?
Roberta?
Yes, you can imagine that Cammino di Dante is a way, exactly in itinerary. But if you can come to Florence or, for example, Ravenna, you can have experience for many different cultural monuments. So if you go to our website, viadidante.it, you can have more information about what is treasures. So all the monuments, all the possibility you have to come in Emilia-Romagna. We have shared with project with many guides. So you can come there and even you can promote and book an experience, an offer with our touristical product. So there are many possibilities all the years, and especially in this period, there are so many events like conferences about Dante, especially in Florence and in Ravenna. But whenever you come, you can find many possibilities of a cultural experience, because Ravenna and even Florence, as well known, are cities of art. So you can share all the possibility of these two cities.
But as I mentioned before, if you visit the website, you can find a section with all the small villages and a short description and all the cultural point of interest of each small village. So you have only to have a look to the website.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so if you do have other questions, you can contact the ladies directly. You can contact us, the Italian National Tourist Board, and we'll redirect the questions to you as well. Any information that you want to organize a walking tour on one of these routes, please feel free, as I said, to either contact them directly or contact us. Thank you very much. We are very jealous at the moment because we're all dreaming about going back to Italy, but hopefully we won't be too far off. But thank you very, very much.
I would like, if possible, just to share with you one experience. I live here in Romagna, very close to Tuscany, of course, and my husband is Australian, so I can guarantee you, that he's loving really just visiting all these villages and walking, of course, because surrounding by nature is something absolutely outstanding. So we definitely are going to wait for you in Emilia-Romagna and Tuscany to experience this Cammino di Dante and Le Vie di Dante. And we are sure that it's going to be a very great experience.
Which Australian city is your husband from?
Brisbane.
From Brisbane.
Yeah.
So now he's a Dante expert. He can
Yes, exactly. He loves art, culture, but I would say food in particular. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure for me. This was I'm not sure if you knew, but it's the first event of the year for the Italian Institute of Culture. So I think everyone's excited to be here and to listen to everything that you've had to say. So thank you again, and have a great morning to you, and a great evening to all our guests.
Okay, thank you too, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Ciao.
Ciao.